A WE rifle with actual packaging. This can only mean one of a handful of rifles from WE, and the gun I'm reviewing today is WE's MSK. Now the MSK coming in real packaging is a huge step up above all the other GBBRs that WE has. Included is the MSK, your front and rear flip-up sights, your manual, 3 extra rail segments for the gun, some tools for the hop-up, a speed loader, and 1 PMag. Now pulling the rifle out of the box, it looks and feels absolutely amazing. And just taking a look at the details, the barrel has a blued steel finish on it, even though it's aluminum. The fake gas system can be adjusted and played around with. There's a CNC op rod behind it. It's a great detail. The handguard is skeletonized metal. It feels great, and there's plenty of space along it for those little extra rail segments. Now while the handguard feels great and it's really light, it wobbles around a lot. And the upper receiver is CNC'd, so be careful as the top rail can cut you if you're not careful. The fire controls are ambidextrous, very user-friendly, and the stock can be adjusted up to 7 different positions. There's 2 QD sling mounts on it. The cheek riser can be adjusted to 2 positions, but be careful, it can catch the hairs on your beard if you're not paying attention. And the stock is also foldable, which is very nice. The upper receiver has plenty of room along it for any extra sights or scopes that you may have. And speaking about the upper receiver, it's aluminum. The charging handle is steel, so if you're playing around with the charging handle a lot, it can deform the upper receiver where it makes contact. Now speaking of other problems, even though the Stanag magazines do work, they wobble a lot inside the mag well. I'd recommend just sticking with the PMags. They perform a lot better anyways. Now that I'm talking about the mags, it's time to load this gun up and take it back to the range. Now I'm shooting from a crouched position 65 feet away, and of course I'm using .23 gram BBs like usual, and propane. Now the semi-automatic grouping isn't that great. I'm gonna put that because it's probably user error, because on a full auto the grouping was much tighter. Now, putting the gun on full auto, the sound that this gun makes is absolutely incredible. It makes my ears ring as the shooter, and the recoil is pleasurable. It's a very nice gun. Okay, so it's time to disassemble the rifle. I'm going to start by showing how to disassemble the barrel. Very straightforward. Remove the handguard pin, remove the handguard, pull up on your barrel lever, press the barrel removal button, twist the barrel locking nut out, and then you can pull the entire barrel assembly out. So you can just press the locking nut back in. As you're turning it back to realign, it automatically locks in. So to remove the receivers from each other, simply press out the rear receiver pin. It's not captured, so don't worry about that. Just keep an eye on it. Remove the forward receiver pin. This is captured, so you don't have to worry about that. And then your receivers are separated. Now looking into the lower receiver internals, the bolt catch is redesigned, as well as the hammer. Everything else looks fairly similar to either the M4 or the SCAR, although the parts are different. The bolt catch has a very nice redesign to it, very reliable, has a very nice actuating arm, and does have dual points of contact, and it is a very thick piece of steel. The hammer is a poor redesign. It wears out pretty quickly. Not the actual point of the hammer that contacts the bolt carrier, but where it makes contact with the disconnector. Wears out and causes trigger reset issues. This happens at around 1,000 rounds. The full auto sear and the full auto sear bar are steel, and the selector switch bar itself is steel as well. Everything else is the typical WE metal alloy. Now getting into the bolt carrier, just pull the charging handle back and you can pull out the bolt carrier. It's self-contained with the recoil spring assembly. Just push it forward and you can remove the recoil spring. It's a very thick guide with a very nice heavy return spring on it. Reassembly is pretty simple. Just rotate it and you can place it back in. The bolt carrier itself, very thick, very heavy, but there's very few parts to it, making it very reliable. The nozzle is a standard M4 and it does have a very quick return to it. It has a very good seal. And I have to say it's probably the most reliable bolt carrier out of the WE gas blowback rifle series. Reassembly? Simple, just put it back into the upper receiver. So rifle reassembly, just grab the lower receiver, realign it with the upper, push the forward receiver pin back on, grab the longest of your two removed pins, which is the upper receiver rear pin, put it back in, doesn't matter which direction as it's interchangeable. Grab your handguard, line it back up, your handguard pin, push it in, same thing, doesn't matter which direction it is, and the gun is reassembled and ready to go. Fully functional. Now my final thoughts on the MSK, it's the only gas blowback ACR that you can get. It looks and feels great, the recoil is excellent, and the sound report is brutal. It's almost a perfect gun, besides the hammer issue and the charging handle messing up the upper receiver. Now if you want to get this gun, I'd wait a bit as internal parts are very hard to come by.